Hello everybody, I'm Hector Fridge, aka Supreme Slayer, and today I decided that I would make a video. I've been thinking about it for a while and I thought it was about time. And this is a video about Yu-Gi-Oh! More specifically, a deck that I had recently created and that I thought should be discussed. Now, I don't know if any of my actual subscribers watch these videos because I know that I usually make YouTube poops. If you are one of my subscribers and you see this, let me know. And if you really don't like me making these videos on this account, I can make a whole new account and do them there. Anyway, what I wanted to discuss was the deck known as Where Art Thou Exodia. Named so because the MVP card Where Art Thou in the deck. It's a different kind of deck than the regular stall Exodia or FTK Exodia. It's a slower variant, but it's faster than, let's say, stall Exodia, or I would say the kind of deck that Jarrell Pro Winston used, no offense to him or anything. First, we should talk about the cards that are in the deck. And to do that, first, I suppose I should talk about the MVP card, Where Art Thou? A lot of people might not know what it does, because it's not a card that you see used every single day. It's a normal spell card, and its effect is, if you control a face-up level 1 monster, add one level 1 monster from your deck to your hand. During the end phase of this turn, take 2,000 damage if you did not normal summon the added monster or a card with the same name after activating this card. Upon cursory glance, it looks like a really terrible card. In most decks, it would obviously have no use. What I want to discuss is the uses in this deck. What some people might not know is that all the Exodia pieces, except for the head, are level 1. That means that if you activate Where Art Thou, you can automatically add any Exodia piece from your deck to your hand. The only condition being that you have a level 1 monster on the field. That might sound sort of like a terrible condition, but the purpose of this deck is to abuse this card, and you'll see exactly how easy it is to do that. So, here's the deck list for you guys. The 5 Exodia pieces, obviously you need those for the deck, because that's your win condition. It's 3 Cyber Valley, 3 Swift Scarecrow, 1 Battle Fader, although I'm not quite sure if I want to run a Battle Fader or Curry Photon, and I'll get into the reasons why and the reasons for the rest of the cards in the deck once I'm finished telling you what they all are. 1 Sangan, that makes a total of 13 monsters. 3 Where Art Thou, 3 Upstart Goblin, 3 One Day of Peace, 2 Pot of Duality, 1 Magical Mallet, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Scapegoat for 14 spells, 3 Hope for Escape, 3 Reckless Greed, 3 Wabaku, 2 Threatening Roar, 1 Legacy of Yatagarasu, and 1 Solemn Judgment for 13 traps. There's some cards in the extra deck, but you're really not going to use them. I won't discuss the side deck, except for maybe Dark Hole, the Gemini Imps, because I would definitely side those and Mystical Space Typhoon in case you get a really bad matchup. For instance, if your opponent has Royal Decree, or they're running Dark Worlds or Morphing Jar, and if your opponent is using Thunder King, because those 3 cards are the bane of this deck. Anyway, on to the explanation for the cards. I added 3 Cyber Valley to the deck because it's a level 1 monster, so it can be used with Where Art Thou, but it also has 3 useful effects. Well, the third one isn't so useful, but the first and most useful effect is that when it's targeted for an attack, you can banish it, then draw 1 card and end the battle phase. That pretty much makes it function the same as your One Day of Peace. There's also Swift Scarecrow, which the purpose for that is pretty obvious, but other than its basic uses, you can choose when you want to drop it, so you can mitigate how much damage you're taking, which helps with Hope for Escape. And also, unlike with Battle Fader, your opponent can't use something like Solemn Warning on it that would negate its summon and stop its effect from working. Pretty much the only cards that can actually stop it are Herald of Orange Light and Landois, which people don't run very often, except in specific decks. And I run one Battle Fader because Battle Fader in this deck has a dual purpose of not only stopping the opponent, but also, since it's level 1 and it summons itself with its effect, you can use it with Where Art Thou. I wanted to use Curry Photon over this because of the fact that, like I said earlier, your opponent can stop Battle Fader's effect from working with Solemn Warning. And not only that, but Solemn Warning will decrease your opponent's life points, making Hope for Escape a weaker card in this deck, especially since the deck doesn't rely completely around using Hope for Escape. And Curry Photon, other than stopping you from taking damage like with Swift Scarecrow, can even be used when you would take battle damage from a monster of yours being attacked. Say, for instance, if they creature swap, but also because it has the cost of paying 2,000 life points, it helps Hope for Escape draw more cards for you. Oh, and Curry Photon also stops effect damage. Sangan is an obvious card for an Exodia deck. It lets you search out Exodia, but you mainly, when you use it, you want to grab the Exodia head because all the other pieces are searchable with Where Art Thou. And Where Art Thou, the card is just extremely broken with Exodia. I mean, I don't even know what they were thinking when they made the card. I think they added the 2,000 damage thing because they were trying to mitigate its usefulness in Exodia decks, but with this kind of a build, it actually helps to take the damage almost any time except late game, and late game, if you use it, you're probably going to add the winning card from your deck. 3 Upstart Goblin, it's Exodia, so you're going to use Upstart Goblin, thins your deck out. Again, this deck has so much synergy, it's not even funny. Upstart Goblin increases the power of Hope of Exodia. All these good draw and add cards just fuel your draw engine. It's just insane. 1 Day of Peace, draw, and it lets you not take damage, and your opponent drawing doesn't really matter that much unless they have a specific card in their deck that's going to wreck your cookies. But also, if you can't take the damage from Where Art Thou because your life points are too low or you need to pay for something, you can activate 1 Day of Peace, and you won't take damage from Where Art Thou. Again, there's just so much synergy. 2 Pot of Duality, that's an obvious choice. You don't really special summon on your turn anyway, and you get to pick 1 of 3 cards off the top of your deck. That's good. There's no reason not to use it in this deck whatsoever. Then there's a Magical Mallet. It's kind of just preference of mine. In Exodia decks, I like to have 1 Magical Mallet because you never know when you're going to draw into the cards you just can't use in the deck. And like if you have 2 Where Art Thou in your hand, nothing to summon, or you have like 3 Wabaku and 2 Swift Scarecrow in your hand, you don't need all those cards. You can just put them back in the deck and grab them later. Monster Reborn, it's to bring back Sangan if you have in the grave, bring back targets like Scarecrow for your Where Art Thou, and if your opponent somehow destroyed your Cyber Valley, you can bring it back, or you can bring back something to use Cyber Valley's effect on to draw 2. Then there's Scapegoat, which most people are like, oh, that's not really a good card for stalling, but it's actually pretty useful. The downside is that your opponent can use Warning to stop its effect, and then their life points are decreased, but not only are you getting to block 4 attacks, but those are all level 1 monsters that it summons, so you can use Where Art Thou on them. It's just crazy. And then for the traps, 3 Hope for Escape. It's your biggest draw card, the card that's going to let you draw the most in the deck, because with all the other cards in the deck combined, you take a whole bunch of damage purposefully, and then increase your opponent's own life points with Upstart Goblin, and you can draw as many as 5 cards. Even more if your opponent is actually using life gain cards, which is rare, but you never know. 3 Reckless Greed. You should always run it in Exodia because you always draw a lot of cards, meaning you're more likely to draw 2 Reckless Greed, which when you chain them together is the most broken combination ever, and if you absolutely have to, you can activate it to get a +1 that turn, like if you're so close to getting the Exodia piece but you don't have another Reckless Greed or whatever. 3 Waboku, obvious, chainable, don't take damage, generally just a good idea to use it in any Exodia deck if it's not FTK. 2 Threatening Roar. I only played 2 of them because I've found that with all the other cards in the deck that stall, having 3 Threatening Roar just isn't all that amazing, and it's not chainable at any time whatsoever. Well, Waboku can be used like with Swift Scarecrow so that I take just that little bit of damage that I want to get by effect for Hope of It for escape. And Threatening Roar just isn't as good as Waboku, especially because I might also want my opponent to destroy my Sangan, so then I activate Waboku after that. 1 Legacy of Yatagarasu, I use this over the 3rd Threatening Roar because Yatagarasu never clogs. And it also helps if I draw it off Reckless Greed to get that draw off that I might need. And Solemn Judgment is very important to this deck. Even if you're not one of those players who knows how to use Solemn Judgment to its full effect, you can still use it in this deck because the #1 reason you're activating it is to get your life points down for Hope for Escape. And plus, if your opponent's going to make a move that's just going to screw you completely over, I'd recommend using at least some synchros in your extra deck because there's no reason not to, especially if you're going to be using Monster Reborn. But I also added Fusionist and Zombie Warrior and Gold Rat, which you're obviously never going to summon, but it's just funny to have them in the extra deck. So far, with testing the deck, I've won 12 times and only lost 3, but the times I lost is because of Morphing Jar, the first one, the second one because of Thunder King, and the third one because I made a really bad misplay early on, letting them give me too much damage so I could only activate 1 of my Hope for Escape, meaning that for the rest of the duel I was dead drawing into cards. So pretty much my closing statement about this deck would be that it's just broken. I'm not saying that it's the best deck out there, but the cards that you can use together, it's like they were designed to be together from the very start because they just have so much synergy and they work so well together. It's like they purposely were making cards for Exodia decks. I don't know if it's completely original or not because I made this deck list up myself using a different Exodia deck that I had before that was basically Hope for Exodia, but not the chain draw version that Jarrell Winston used. But then when I heard that somebody had topped a regional using the card Where Art Thou, which I never really thought of to that point of using in Exodia, because when I first read its effect it just seemed like such a bad card, but I decided I would build this deck based on what I thought it would look like, and it's just wow. If you want to use this deck or you want to change this deck around or whatever, by all means do it. I'm not gonna claim that I'm the only one who's allowed to play this deck. I mean, obviously it's the game. But if somebody does end up using this deck and I'm not like saying it would win a regional, but if someone did let me know or whatever, so that I can feel a little proud about that. But anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned a thing or two, and good luck in your future duels. Bye.